Welcome back as we study membranophones. Today we're looking at one of the largest and lowest instruments in the band or the orchestra. A single one is called a timpani. If you have pairs or more of them, they're called timpani, much like moose. So, I don't know who came up with that. English language is strange. Before we dive into some of the details about timpani, I found a little Prezi that I will show you now. So this is a little bit about the timpano. Sometimes in Italian they call it that. The kettle drum. Been around for a couple thousand years. Nakers, the direct ancestors of the timpani. During the Crusades, they heard those in that part of the world, brought them to Europe, and they turned them into something else. The ranges are, you can see there, they're pretty low, but over the course of 4 or 5 drums, you can get around an octave, octave and a half. Usually there are 4 drums used in a modern orchestral set, but some use only 2, some use 5, and maybe 6. If you're playing timpani for a movie soundtrack, they don't allow any pitch changes because of the squeaking, so you have to bring a separate drum for each pitch you use, including different octaves. So professional timpanists in Los Angeles usually own 3 or 4 sets of 4. It's a pretty crazy idea. They were once played on horseback, too. Let's see, what else do we got here? Yes, the different kinds. There's the basic timpani where you just stretch the heads. There's the chain and the pedal. We'll talk a little bit about these. Yeah, typically made of copper just because it's easy to form. There are rods around the edges where you adjust. So you can make the pitch higher or lower. So that takes a long time, however, because if you have to go around and tune each of the 6 to 8 lugs around to change notes, that you can't do that during a piece. So then they came up with mechanical systems. Like this kind, the chain timpani. Not terribly efficient, but they had a roller chain, and you can either use a handle or a crank or something and change the pitch of the head. Not terribly accurate either. Then this guy came around, Ludwig. Yeah, he played with everybody, knew everything, and he built a better mousetrap. His books and solos and methods and everything still to this day are the standard. So without him, we wouldn't have most of the modern percussion equipment we have. And now we have what is the most common type of timpani, and that's the pedal timpani. That's what we have in our room, and you see them used all the time. The bottom, they call it the spider. You can see a picture of it here. It shows you the mechanism on the bottom that pulls all of the lugs at the same time, so you can adjust all of the tension across the instrument equally. The first account, really, of timpani used in a modern setting was Jean-Baptiste Lully, 1765. So it's been around a while, but the instrument itself has been around for a couple thousand years at least. A couple other interesting things that we know. The timpani in orchestra almost always were used in pairs. You see the little video here where the guy has 4. That's more a modern thing, but for the majority of orchestral literature where you would hear timpani, you would hear them in pairs. The mallets that they use are almost exclusively covered with felt. Sometimes they'll use rubber or wood or something to get a different sound, but almost always they're felt mallets. And there's two basic ways to hold them. One is with your palm on, or your palm facing down, back of your hand on top, and then the other way is with your thumb on top. Call that the French grip and the German grip. So those are the two basic styles if you are playing the timpani. They were played on horseback for a while. You would have to train the horses from a very young age to get used to that. Let's see. For most of their life, timpani have been paired with trumpets. In fact, there is the International Guild of Trumpeters and Kettle Drummers, which is from the 15th century and is still around today. I've been a member since 1990 of the International Guild of Trumpeters and Kettle Drummers. It's changed its name a few times, but it is the oldest trade union in history that is still around. So, kind of interesting. Let us now, let's see, what do we have here? Oh yes, more Prezi. Isn't that lovely? Okay, now we're going to go listen to a piece. Okay, you can see here a few of the things that we mentioned. Yeah, typically you don't want to touch a timpani head with your fingers because the oils in your hands will, over time, wear them down. So here is a piece called Marche des Timbales. It is a very old piece. And now you know a little bit more about the timpani than you did before, hopefully. Okay, next week we will look at the boran, a wonderful Irish instrument. See you next time. Bye-bye.